Hi crew, I'm Lex, and this is Malediction. Today we're going to be looking at the Outcast Starter Box. Picked this up from our local game store Hobby Master. On the bottom we've got the legal jargon. Top we've got who's in the box, so we've got Yannick Wallace, a Catalan Brawler, and a Catalan Rifleman. And their keywords Syndicate, and they're also Outcast Versatile. So we've got the render of Yannick Wallace, which is different from the actual model, as people have been pointing out. So it's missing the gun on her back and the little hair pin needle things. We've got the art of her. Back of the box, we've got the two Catalan Riflemen, Brawler, Yannick Wallace, Fate deck, 10 scheme markers, and a measuring widget. We've also got stat cards for these guys, rules reference, and Outcast Upgrades. What's really interesting is this is the first time that the Catalan Corp have got a model at all in the lore, even though they've been there since pretty much the beginning. The Outcast logo is actually the Catalan Corp's logo as well, and I find that really cool. I'll talk about that a little bit later, so unboxing this bag. So I've put it upside down, so they like doing that in these pre-assembled boxes. So die cutting on these is really good. So good they actually fall out of the things, as I noticed with the Explorers. That's really decent sort of chipstock. So we've got our 10 scheme markers, measuring widget, and they're pretty decent sort of card as well. So they'll last you until you get into something serious, or if you're a casual gamer, they should last for ages. Tokens measuring widget, so we'll just put those over there. So we've got stat cards, upgrade, and rules reference. So if you're just starting out, this is pretty handy. Unfortunately, there's no like little mini rules booklet, but all the rules are free online. If you're thinking about giving Malifaux a go, this is a good sort of way in. The starters, it feels quite well balanced rules-wise. With the previous Explorers, it was kind of janky. Like the models were just chucked in there, and they didn't feel like they'd play very good just as standalone figures, especially because of those new Explorer guys. Hang on. Hopeful prospects. When they kill something, they replace themselves with a better model. So in the starter box they come with, they can pretty much just replace themselves with each other if one has already died. Doesn't really make much sense. Whereas in this, you've got decent melee unit, 2 good range units, and a henchman that's good at shooting. Then you've got the Outcast Upgrades, which I think are okay. Like most of the community reckon they're pretty trash, and it's one of those points of contention if you're playing Malifaux, is it these worth like losing a model or losing Soulstones? And most of the time they aren't, depending on what you're playing, what your schemes are, and all that sort of stuff. So looking at these guys a little bit closer, Catalan Brawler, 8 Soulstones, Armor 1, Cage Fighter, Condor Security, Hard to Kill, Price of Progress, 235 like melee attack, range 1, stat 6, which is nothing to sneeze about. Toss in the Mud, which is good for moving conditions, like, burning. Chaos Crew, nah, it doesn't need burning. Juggernaut's good, it's healed, so it's got decent sort of durability. We've got the 2 Catalan Riflemen, both identical. So Expert Shot, Hard to Kill, Price of Progress, and Stand and Fire. And they've also got Clockwork Rifle, Warning Shot, and for the Corp. And lastly, the Henchman, Yannick Wallace, so she's got Gunfighter, Ingenuity, Hard to Kill, Price Progress, and Shouting Orders. And she's got that awesome shotgun, Democratic Elections, which is really good, fits into the law perfect, and Consolidate Power. Rules reference, got the upgrade for Wanted Criminal, 7 in the Dark Powers, and Soldier for Hire. Put those over there. We've got 430mm bases. We've got our deck. So last deck we looked at, these cards were really sticky. Then we've got the card deck with the Catalan Corp logo. That's inside. So in the last unboxing with Explorer Society, these cards were kind of sticky. I sort of downplayed it, but then after playing a game with them, yeah, they are really sticky. So I would recommend sleeving them if you don't already do that. It's good. There we go. And do they have the same problem? Yeah, they do. It's just a little bit sticky on the cards, especially face cards. So then we've got one of Leviticus's Choppy Boys, Hamlin, one of the Victorias, the other Victoria, Jackdaw. Feel like we've missed someone. 10, 11, 12. Oh yeah, 13. Ah, there we go. Taro. Got Yannick Waller, Parker Barrows, and Von Schill. Catalan, other guy. Catalan Riflemen. Viticus, and who's hiding between them? Zip. Dread Pirate Zip. So we've got a black Joker as and red Joker as Emissary and Effigy. Hodgepodge. So yeah, now kind of sticky. Stickier than I'd like. What I'd recommend for these cards with starters is just some cheap sleeves, like 100 sleeves, $5 New Zealand, so US it'd probably be $2 or $3, and it just protects your investment, keeps them nice, makes them easy to handle as well. If you've been playing for ages, and you have second ed single mini boxes, these guys are perfect for storing sleeve cards in. So this is a Duality Fate deck, and the art on this is like beautiful. If you don't want to buy a card box, which is silly because they're not that expensive, and have these lying around, then they're perfect for card boxes. See them up, they sit in there, all good to go. And getting on to arguably the most important part, the minis themselves. So we've got one of the Catalan Riflemen there. Really, really good details there. Weird has gone really good at doing those pre-assembled minis. I know a lot of people still don't like them, but you compare this to what they're producing with the hard plastics, and it's getting really close. This is the other Catalan Rifleman. Interestingly, barrels on both these guys are mint as. There's no bend at all, or very minimal bend. Same with mold lines. There's a bit of a mold line there, but it's nothing that you couldn't clean up. A little bit harder with the softer sort of plastic they're using rather than the hard sort of plastic they're using for the not pre-assembled stuff. But, it's a hobby. You've got to clean stuff up. It's not that much big deal at the end of the day, right? It's a hobby. We're expected to do some work. Nice anchor points on the feet if you're going to drill them and pin them to the bases. Next we've got the Brawler. So tubby dad bod, big mecha fists, that power plant. Bit of a mold line down the side there, but again that shouldn't be too hard to clean up. Yeah, and look at the detail on that backpack. That's stunning. Speaking of details on their backs, both your riflemen have really nice flat surfaces. Art of the characters, they've got the Condor Rails logo on the back of the thing. Nice flat surface to go ham on with your detailing and freehand painting. So this is Yannick Wallace, the henchman from the set. She's got those groovy knee pads like the other boys. That shotgun. Bit of a mold line there. Yeah, huge mold line there. Is it? Is that actually a mold line? No, that's not a mold line. That's actually part of her pants. It's the seam of the pants. So yeah, right beside the seam of the pants, that's the mold line. And that's easy enough to clean up. A little bit of bend in the rifle, nothing a bit of hot water or steam won't fix. Just put it over steam for about 30 seconds and then bend into shape. We'll just put in some hot water for about a minute and then it's ready to bend into shape. Good detail on the face as well. Not as sharp as Wed's hard plastics, but could be worse. Yeah, so decent little minis. Nice amount of detail on them. So that's the contents of the box. With a close look at stuff. So in terms of lore, I'm really excited about these guys because it sets a really strong precedence for weird bringing stuff into the Malifaux universe which we've only really seen in art or passing stories. So Catalan Corp was always in the lore as these are the mercenaries. They're the key prime example. Outcast mercenaries, Catalan Corp. But they never really did anything. They were in the law as every member of the Catalan Corps has an equal vote. They vote on the jobs they go on. Everyone gets equal pay. That's really idealistic, really cool. But then in the law, they haven't really been touched on other than little snippets of information. Like we mentioned, the logo for Outcasts is the Catalan Corps brooch. It's the little badge they wear on the uniform. And yet, up until Malifaux Burns, we haven't had models of them. They've been really light in the lore. In Broken Promises, Second Ed, the last book we got for that edition, in Horizon's End by Justin Gibbs, that's when they start making a story appearance. So, page 158, we have a guy in the Catalan Corps outfit basically going around all the different mercenaries at Von Schill's meeting, basically trying to get them to sign up to the Catalan Corps, and failing horribly. It makes Catalan Corps look like a joke. Because before in the lore, they know their stuff. They're good mercenaries. They're not Freikorps by any stretch, but they're respected. They're the people lawful citizens of Malifaux would go to for a job. And then in Malifaux Burns, we get information about Catalan core under Yannick Waller's lore description, mentioning the previous guy that was in charge, Moray Farland, basically met a tragic end, and now she's in charge. Some stuff's obviously happened in the role-playing game Through the Breach. I've heard there's like more lore about Catalan Corp in there, but unfortunately I don't have those books. Looks like everything went downhill under Moray, and Yannick's basically pulling it back. Moray might have been that guy in the Freikorp story in Broken Promises. He may not have been. It's all up in the air. So now, after the new Governor General has banned mercenaries, the Catalan Corps have basically jumped on board with Condor Rails. So you'll be able to use them as Outcast Versatiles, or they fit into the Syndicate keyword with Lycarin. Condor Rails, the boss of that. So yeah, lore on these guys basically goes a bit more into Catalan Core and how they've basically jumped over. With all the money they've got, they're now like buying better equipment, and there on the duster you can see the logo for Condor Rails. So I haven't seen, I think maybe one or two people in the Facebook group paint up some really cool miniatures with that on the side of the duster. But yeah, models are really good, really solid. And on that shoulder pad there's a Condor Rails, which is going to fit on the side of that. What else? Yeah, so this sets a big precedence for Malifaux. If we're getting Catalan Core who've been around since First Ed, well, maybe sometime in Second Ed, then there's potential for other characters we've only heard about in the lore to basically come forward in newer sort of rules. We've got Claws coming through in the Neverborn starter, so he's really important in Through the Breach RPG. He like fills a role of someone the PCs go to get completely wrecked, but also an information broker. Looking forward to getting a copy of that starter. And also, like, we might get stuff which we've only ever seen in art. First Ed and 1.5 had a lot of really cool art. And in that art, we got stuff which we only really occasionally see. The Alt Bishop is based on a piece of art. The Alt Nicodem we got is based on an old piece of card art. Yeah, we still... Water elementals were seen on the card art as well as like a thing that might be an alternate Lord Chompy Bits, like a big demon thing with wings. This guy. So this is the 3.5 rulebook. So yeah, I'm just hoping we see some miniatures come out of the system, which I only ever talked about like, you know, vaguely sort of offhand in the rules, like, oh, there's this thing that exists. And the Catalan Corp are basically setting the precedence to get cool things like this in future releases. Because we also have 1.5, we have this, which is card art for the Red Joker. And like nowadays, we know this is Titania, but this is maybe 7 or 8 years before Titania even was talked about. What I'm saying is there's some really cool stuff there in the art and in the lore, which just doesn't exist in the game yet. But Catalan Corp here, they set that precedence that we're going to potentially get more really cool stuff in the future. Just figured I'd ramble on that. Was really excited for that. And I think that's me. So in the box we get measuring widget, rules reference, stat cards, the minis, sticky cards, which honestly want to be sleeved, 10 scheme markers, and 6 upgrade cards, so 2 of each. So coming next month, I'll probably be looking at Twisted Alternatives for the Puppet Apocalypse. So these are the Horseman, Hooded Rider, Mechanical Rider, Pale Rider, and Dead Rider. I'll probably have a look at those next month. And then the following month, I want to have a look at these guys because they look freaking cool, right? Also, local New Zealand prices. These guys were like $20 cheaper than the other starters. Outcast and Explorers were both $90. These guys $70, and they're a lot chunkier. They're bigger models than these all guys in the Explorers. I'm not sure what's going on there, but hey, we'll find out. So that's probably going to be March if nothing else comes up. Cool. Thanks for watching, team. Like, comment, subscribe, and have a great year. Happy New Year, everyone. Ciao.